Hello everybody, it's Guess Who finally making his first video for this channel here, BooksAndFlicks. It's me, Truedantalion. You might hear from my voice that I'm not at my best right now. This summer really has taken it out of me completely, and I'm not feeling well at the moment. Hope to be better, and I still have other video projects in my mind, so let's take this one here as the starting point for Truedantalion, the autumn edition, hopefully, and the weather kind of getting into a more normal pattern of torturing us. Okay, so much for the introduction. Let's get to the book that I want to talk about today. Maybe not as long as I would, but nevertheless, you'll see. I chose one book that has been among the absolute favorites of mine for, let's stop the calculation, it was 1980 when I got introduced to a book by a German author called Michaek Ende, which is very nice because we share the same initials. But well, a friend of mine told me, you have to read this book. And if someone tells me something like this in this tone, you know, boom ba-doom ba-doom, it's not very likely to happen that I jump on this book or watch this movie, because I have to keep my window open here. I want to discover stuff myself, and I may be a little bit silly by that, but nevertheless, if someone says you've got to, my blinds kind of close. Nevertheless, I bought the book because it was a real good friend back then, and we're talking about the 1980s, so she's not in my life anymore. 30 years have passed. Nevertheless, I bought this book, and it was the German edition, because back then it had not been translated into any other versions. So I had this book with 430 pages on my desk, and I thought, okay, I will start it sometime. Fun thing was, well, if you call it fun, that I got sick a few days later. Look how this fits. And I had to stay in my bed and couldn't do very much. The age of gaming consoles had not started yet. We are talking Stone Ages here. So I was lying in my bed, I was feeling miserable, and I didn't have anything to do. And then this book came to my mind again, which my friend had said she had read within a day and just a little bit, meaning that she really actually devoured this book and could not stop reading. So I thought, well, if I am struck down here and have nothing else to do, let's grab the book. The title of this book was Die Unendliche Geschichte. Well, that's the German title, but a few years later there has been an American version brought out to the market, and this one is The Never-Ending Story by Michaek Ende. I hope you can see it. So yeah, I got myself the paperback edition of this book, because it's a little bit tricky to get stuff that I want. It's always something like, oh, we don't have it in stock, or oh, it has never been in stock and stuff. And if I wanted to buy the international version for this video, and had I not taken the paperback, I would have had to wait 3 more weeks until the book could be delivered, and I didn't want to wait that long, so I bought the English paperback edition, which I advise you against. Yeah, because the hardcover edition is basically it's the same translation, which is very important, but the hardcover is made much more true to the book. You know, there are details that, you know, if you read it, are important, and with the paperback edition they just had to draw back a little bit. Like, for example, every of the 26 chapters has a wonderfully made picture and a big letter to start the book, and they are of course in color. Here in the paperback edition you only have a black and white version, and it's not very well made. So if you have the chance, if you want to read the book at all, pay these few dollars or pounds more, and it's really not much, and enjoy the complete fun and complete fascination of this book. It's worth it. The never-ending story. I should take. Boy, this is really not my time. The never-ending story is a story about a boy, maybe 10, maybe 11 years old, and this boy has it quite hard in his life. His mother has died a while ago, and his father has not taken it well, and he is shutting off himself almost completely from Bastian. This is the name of the character, Bastian Balthasar Books. And the nice thing is that the last name kinda sounds like books, and in German it's a little bit more intricate because it is books. It sounds like some kind of flower, some kind of, oh my god. I will make something down there in the description box and up this little shortcoming of mine. Nevertheless, names are important here, and it starts with the main character's name. So this boy has it hard because his father is very, yeah, you could say, he shut himself very much down. He only goes to his work and doesn't have time or much enthusiasm anymore for his son, because the death of his wife really broke him, and he does not know how to deal with it and how to deal with his son on that. His son Bastian is very sensitive to this because he would need his father to somehow deal with the loss that has struck him and his dad, but his father is just not able to give him this attention and this help and support that Bastian would need, because he himself does not find any kind of source where he can draw strength and compassion from. He's basically at the end with everything, and he's just doing his work that he has to do, and he's good with that, and everything else is somehow a blur, is somehow between walls. He is basically walled in, and so his son does not have very much support from his father there. Now, at school it is so that Bastian is not a very much liked boy. He does not fit the... I have to keep that window open because the wind is going so strong, and right now I love the wind, sorry. So basically Bastian is not very popular at school. He does not fit the usual cliches. He is a little bit obese, and he's not good at sports, and everyone kind of makes fun on his behalf. Even the teachers do, and Bastian has a lot to deal with there. School isn't one of his favorite places, although he's not against learning, he's not against reading. No, reading indeed has become his passion. He is what you would call a bookworm or addicted to books, and he really goes through them and is very much into the story and tries to get the real meaning of the book. Hello, little child, the world isn't as bad as you see it right now. Well, okay. So yeah, this passion for books is something that kind of is something that brings Bastian some kind of counterweight to the immense sadness that he feels for losing his mother, and also the sadness for his father being so unresponsive and so shut down completely. And so in books he finds kind of something that keeps him alive, gives him fresh energy and gives him the possibility also to escape a little bit from the harsh reality that he has to face every day. Face every day. And so one morning, this is when the book starts. It's in November, and it's one more over. Thank you, Mr. Church. One morning in November, it's raining heavily. He's on his way to school, and he's being chased by some other boys, and he has to run basically for his life because they are not up to any good with him, if you know what I mean. So at one point he reaches an old bookstore, and the door of this old bookstore is open, and so he chases in and just to get away from these boys. The owner of the bookstore is already in because his shop is open, and he asks whoever is there to either go out or go in and close the door because there is a heavy draft and he don't like that. So Bastian closes the door, and he gets into talking with this old book salesman, and the old man is absolutely not friendly to Bastian because he don't know what to do with kids. You know, he's an old man, he sells books. The books that he sells are nothing for boys in Bastian's age, so basically there is no interjection for them to kind of connect. Bastian, with this really harsh monologue of this old man, is a little bit, quite a bit, frustrated, and the old man also says that kids are up to no good. They always make pranks, and they smear jam into book pages, which he of course doesn't like very much, and they're always up to no good. This is his baseline, and Bastian feels that he has to speak up a little bit against this, and says not all children are like that. The old man then asks, and probably you are the big exception here, right? And Bastian doesn't know about that. He is, the old man kind of assesses him, and he sees boy is fat, so he kind of goes into cliches, you know, fat boy, not good in sports, class clown, probably not so much, class bully victim, more like, and so the old man really dishes out against Bastian, and he doesn't know what Bastian has on his shoulders, and Bastian feels compelled to tell the old man a little bit about it, but just when they get to the very important point that his mother has died and his father doesn't give a little bit even about Bastian, the phone rings in the other room and the old man has to take this call. So at this very important, at this very crucial point, the conversation is being interrupted. So Bastian does not have the possibility to really speak up for once and open up and tell someone how he feels. This would have been very important, but it has been, it has been made impossible. So Bastian doesn't know what to do. I'm just going a little bit into the details here to bring you into the flow for this book, and then I will leave you alone and have you decide if you want to read this book or not. So Bastian waits for the old man to return from his call, and he looks around a little bit, and the old man has been reading when Bastian had entered the room, and finally went up to his chair, and so he looks what the old man has been reading, and it's a big book. It's called The Never-Ending Story. Whoops. Bastian looks a little bit more into the case, and he's just fascinated by the title, The Never-Ending Story, a story that basically never ends. This is Bastian's dream book of all, because he is so much into the stories of the books he reads that he never wishes them to end. You know, it's great if a book has a happy ending and the hero has won and the country is saved, the princess is saved, whatever, but nevertheless the book then is over, and you have to leave the book, you have to leave the characters that you got so intrigued by and you have been rooting for, and all of this is just over. And this book, The Never-Ending Story, sounds like a story that will never end, and you will always be with the characters, and there will always be new adventures to be explored, and new victories to be won, etc., etc. So Bastian comes to the decision that he does have to have this book, but he knows that this old man will probably not sell it to him, and even if he would, the few coins of pocket money that he has in his pocket, how practical, those few coins will never equal up for the price that the man would ask from him. So he is in a dead-end situation. He knows he has to have this book, and he has no possibility to ever get it. And so Bastian does something that he usually would never do. He decides to steal this book, because it's so important that he has it. He checks if the old man is still on the phone. He is. He takes the book, he puts it into his school bag, he sneaks out of the old bookstore, opens the door very so carefully, because there is a string of metal chimes, ding dong, ding dong. You know what I mean? And he doesn't want the old man to hear it, of course. And he sneaks out of the store, and then he starts to run. Yeah, not a good beginning, you know, but a very, I find a very good beginning, because now there is about something to happen. And the book you have here is 430 pages thick, heavy. The paperback edition even 445. Yeah, and what is about to happen is a fascinating, really fascinating, fascinating, you know what I mean. Skull. Oh, and all of this on camera. The glass spit back on me. Nice. Okay, we'll talk about this later. Gosh. So, a very, very fascinating double story now starts to evolve, because one, you have the story of Bastian, who stole a book, who is afraid of bullies, who does not like school, and it's really a really ugly November morning, and it's raining, and Bastian doesn't know where to go and what to do. So without any chances there, he decides to go to school anywhere. He's running, and he all of a sudden realizes that, hey, I'm on my way to school. What a bloody stupid idea is that? But he doesn't have anywhere to go. So he actually goes there. He sneaks into the building, and as he knows his way around, he goes to the janitor's office and borrows the keys for the attic. And he goes up there, of course, trying to avoid being found and brought into his classroom. And he actually hides up there and starts to read this book. And he will take 2 days to read this book. This probably will also be the time that you will need to read this book. And during these 2 days, he encounters the worlds of a magical land called Fantastica, in the German version Fantasia. And in this country, there are really big things going on, big things in a negative way, because the queen of this country is sick, and she's up to die, because there is no one who can help her, no doctor, and no I don't know who, herbalist or anything. They need help from a magical hero, and no one knows where this hero can be found. And so they have to send out a courier to find this hero, and he has all but no chance. The only thing he can do is actually to explore Fantastica from the town and the castle where the queen lives, and just, you know, ride all over the place and ask. And so this is what the courier that has been chosen to do will do, and Bastian will be on his journeys, because they are described in the book that he's reading, and by that he will get to know the country fairly well and the people who live there. And still that hero is nowhere to be found. Atreyu, who is a boy roughly of Bastian's age, maybe a year older, Atreyu really has all but no chance to actually find this hero. He's doing his best, and he's very loyal to the queen, and he gives everything, really. He even sacrifices his beloved horse in a swamp where the horse just is sinking in and can't be saved. And so from then on, Atreyu is on his way by foot. A lot of things happen. Bastian is reading this, and in very subtle steps, Bastian is being caught into the story that he is reading. Now this is a little bit intriguing to and a little bit complicated to describe how this happens, but Bastian more and more realizes that somehow he has a connection to the book that he is reading. And it really goes so far that, and are soon about to leave you, that at about the middle of the book, Bastian is actually drawn into the world of Fantastica that he has been reading about. He goes into the book. And from then on, he has to find a way to save the Queen, because she is this hero that the whole country, the whole nation is seeking for. And he could not have been found in Fantastica because he had not been there. There was one point in the book where he had to decide if he wanted to become part of what he has been reading up to this very moment or not. And if he had not been becoming a part of this book, then the nation, the world in this book would have been, lost. Really, it would have been destroyed, and it would have been destroyed by something that is very dangerous to things made out of imagination and fantasy. It would have been destroyed by nothing, by the nothing that enters this country and takes away part of it, part of the land, part of people, or people completely, animals, plants, everything. They're just being erased. They do not explode or crash down, they just cease to exist. They're gone. And more of this country is being taken away like that. And this has to do with people reading fantastical stuff, fantasy-made stuff, and being less and less interested in doing so, being less and less interested in reading and being fascinated by books, by stories that have been made up. And these stories, they exist as they have been made up, but they exist brighter and more intense by people reading them and getting into the story. And if all of a sudden fewer and fewer people do that, then the power of these stories will wane, and they will start to just dissolve and start ending to exist. And this is what has been happening to the country, and this is what has been the reason for the sickness of the Queen. And this is also the reason that for this threat, there is no way for the people in those magical worlds, in these worlds that are being invented and just exist, to do something against, because the destruction is brought about from the outside, and they do not have any connection or any influence on the outside world that is not their world. And so, as the threat is coming from the outside world, also the salvation, the solution to this problem can only come from the outside world, by a reader deciding to become part of what he's reading and trying to do what has to be done to save this world from within, but also to save and re-establish the connection between the outside readers and the world that is being endangered. Bastian has, the first half of the book is already quite a handful to get into. It's fascinating. The world and the people, the creatures and the surroundings are described beautifully. Michaek Ende did a wonderful job there. And he was also very poetic, you will see this if you read the book. It's not just Hollywood big blockbuster movie fantasy. No. There's very much poetry and also philosophy in the world that he created. So you might say it is a book for readers from 8 to 10 upwards, but it's also very strongly a book for grown-up readers. So I really want to put this book into the hearts and hands of people. Hello! Oh, this is going to be the full hour. I will continue talking. I am giving this book into the hearts and hands of adult readers as well as child or teenage readers, because it is made for all of you, seriously, and all of you will find something in there. And so The Never-Ending Story, a book by Michaek Ende, first published in 1979 and still in bookshelves and bookstores everywhere. It has become a classic. It has also become a movie with 2 sequels, and this is a sad experience. I do not recommend to you those movies. They work well, more or less, as movies as they are, but they come almost nowhere near to this book, this story, and the intensity and richness that it has. The first movie has been made in a 90 minutes format, and no, I don't want to go into that. No. Read the book. It's only one book. There is no sequel, so the story ends. And whatever comes from this book comes from you, by being fascinated by it, and maybe by making a video to put it into the hearts and hands of more readers. So if you want to buy it, I put the link into the description box. I will put the link to the English version, English American version, hardcover, and softcover too, paperback, and the German version too. So you will have the full range to get this book into your world, and I hope you like it. So this was my first movie for this channel. If you like it, share, like, subscribe to our channel, that would be nice, and yeah, put it to your Facebook and Twitter and whatever you have, would be great. Good. So for now I say bye bye. I hope my voice will recover, and I hope the weather will recover, and I will soon make my next video for this channel. Until then, bye bye. Signing off today, yours truly, Truedantalion.